Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. We're lucky enough to welcome the most interesting man on the planet, Trevor Reilly, back here in studio with us. He's been on the road. He's been doing his thing. He's been hustling and bustling. That's what he does. But now he's back here in Salt Lake City. Plenty to talk about with this Utah football team. Trevor Reilly, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here. I just got in. I flew in at 11:30. Made it here on time, and I like seeing you. I told you off air. There's no way you didn't go to church as a kid. Okay? I like your character. I like your resume, man.
Nice of you to say.
Yeah, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Well,
and James is a holy man. I mean, James E. Faust over here. This is a holy man. Okay.
Is Peterson like it's a pseudonym? That's not your real name. That's your stage name.
He's James E. Faust.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, man, there's a lot to talk about with this Utah football team. Coming off a bye week, getting a little bit healthier. We know all that stuff. That's great. Good to see. The more interesting thing right now is the way that Utah football is being perceived by this college football playoff committee and by the Big 12's perception in their eyes as well. Sitting now 2 weeks in a row at number 13. Now, it is a 12-team playoff, but because of the structure of this 12-team playoff, what Utah really needs is to be inside the top 10, whether as a runner-up in the Big 12 conference. Obviously, if you're the conference champion, you end up automatically in as potentially an at-large bid. They've got to climb. That's tantalizingly close, Trevor, 3 spots away from that magic 10 spot, and I wanted to know your thoughts on the matter.
I would say BYU and Texas Tech are definitely in the driver's seat in the conference, which has a huge implication on our final ranking.
Yes.
It's going to be hard for another Big 12 team to really make an at-large bid.
Sure.
So it doesn't mean it's impossible. I think it may happen. But we also got to battle Arizona State, who's trending upwards. And if they end the season with 2 losses, right, regardless of who gets into that play or that the Big 12 playoff or whatever, the championship game, there's a lot of heat there. And we beat them without their quarterback. Okay, everyone needs to remember that they're going to take an asterisk on that loss to Utah. I would say not a big one, but a small asterisk there, and it was early in the season.
Well, now their quarterback's out, so for them to finish strong, they're doing it with the guy that you beat.
That's fair. That's fair, and I should have maybe known that before I said that. Okay, I didn't even know that. But,
yeah. So Sims, I'm glad.
Sorry to waste everybody's time with that take. Okay,
no, don't do that. No,
I was just thinking about that as we beat them. Like, this isn't the same team I saw last year.
And look, Leavitt came back in, and Leavitt's the reason they beat Texas Tech. Leavitt is the reason that Arizona State beat Texas Tech.
Oh, 100%, dude. He killed them.
And then he gets hurt, and then Sims, who, look, let's be honest, against Utah, didn't look like much. Sims immediately after Leavitt goes down, goes out and sets a Arizona State record with
he did
290 rushing yards or something insane.
Yep.
They took the jersey. They literally took the jersey off him from the game, all grass stained and paint all over it and stuff like that, and they put it on a frame and they hung it in the Arizona State football complex that they show to the recruits. It's already in there.
That's incredible.
He had a great game. So
he's trending upwards.
He's being thought of a little bit differently.
Okay, so maybe the first game, filling in, that could be, save the take there a little bit. But I'm just saying there's a lot of action here that we don't – I don't even like talking about unless if BYU or Texas Tech loses. If I don't see either of them lose, every week, we're going to see this week. So everything's predicated upon those 2 teams. That's all, to qualify. It's going to be tough for us with 2 losses to slide in there without getting into that playoff or championship game.
See, this is where my crimson tinted glasses are affecting me here. I see a path that's almost as clear by not getting into the conference championship game because of what the committee has showed us, right?
That's fair.
Because if the committee had Utah at 16 or had Texas Tech after beating BYU at like 7 or 8 still, they put Texas Tech and they said, we like this Big 12 conference and we like BYU so much and we like your win over Utah so much that you are leapfrogging Oregon, the Oregon Ducks, who just came off a win against Iowa, a ranked team. We're going to leapfrog you over Oregon, and we're going to tell everyone in the country that you're better than Ole Miss as well, who's one of these like darlings in the SEC. So they said, Texas Tech, that's how much we love you right now. And Texas Tech's going to be in the conference championship game. They're
Who
not going to lose.
Who do they have left on the season?
They have UCF and West Virginia.
So those are scrimmages, and Ole Miss has who? Ole Miss is going to have some heat down there, I think.
No, Ole Miss's schedule lays out really nice for them as well.
So that's good for us then.
They've got Citadel.
Have they played them?
Florida and Mississippi State to finish the year.
Those are Florida fired their coach, and State. That's a tough place to play, but they just got beat by Bama, I think. And so they're going to be in a nice spot.
So Ole Miss is going to be in a really nice spot.
What about in the Big Ten? As far as the Big Ten goes, right? The team that is SC still have 2 losses? Are they still alive?
So USC is the interesting one here because USC plays Oregon.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So USC, number 17 right now, they're a 2-loss team. USC is a 2-loss team that has an opportunity against Oregon, who right now is a top 10 team. Also, USC this week has Iowa, who's still in the rankings.
And that's another thing. No one wants to play them, right? They might pull. They can beat anybody on any Saturday, it seems like.
So USC is at 17 right now, but let's say it goes exactly how USC wants it to go. They beat Iowa, who's number 21 in the country right now, according to the College Football Playoff Committee. And then they beat Oregon. USC is a team that you're like, ugh. So
they're in, dude. They're
want,
getting in, man.
What
they beat Oregon and Iowa.
What you want, if you're a Utah fan, is you want Iowa to beat USC and then USC to beat Oregon.
I mean, okay, so if they win those, though, are they in the Big Ten championship game? I assume they are, right?
No, because
they're
it's Ohio State and Indiana.
So then, that's going to be tough, dude. That plays well. I mean, that's a lot of what ifs. They got to beat 2 great teams, but there's a lot of action there, right?
100%. But now listen, let's play the whole thing out. We talked about this earlier in the show. So from the teams coming from behind you that can really ruin your day are Vanderbilt, who's right behind Utah right now, and behind BYU.
Love the quarterback.
Vanderbilt is one of the darling stories in the country right now.
We offered him at Jackson. Nobody wanted him at Anemi. Nobody. 3 years ago, man. Quarterback I'm talking about.
You offered Diego Pavia?
Yes. We almost had him on campus.
Wow.
Okay. We had him. Nobody wanted him. He was a Mexican kid who was out there playing JUCO ball, playing quarterback. He's a great story.
He's a great story. They've got Kentucky and then a ranked Tennessee team to finish the year. So there's the potential. If you don't look impressive, even if you win out, we're assuming that both BYU and Utah are going to win out, okay?
Yeah.
And if you're Utah, especially, Vanderbilt's right there behind you. A win over Tennessee is more impressive than any win you have the opportunity to get on the remainder of your roster. Miami still has NC State. Miami's at number 15. They're right behind Vandy right now. They've got NC State. They've got road game against Virginia Tech. That means nothing.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens with Pitt because Pitt's got Notre Dame this week. Right now they're 22. If Pitt can beat Notre Dame, then they're probably 18. And if Miami can beat Pitt or Pitt can beat Miami, now we're talking about another impressive resume builder.
And then Virginia, right? Virginia's going to, or they're slated to be the automatic qualifier out of that conference right now.
Virginia is they're
Duke
the
and
Virginia
game?
Tech. So look, the ACC is getting one team. The committee has told us conference champion from the ACC is getting in, and nobody else is. That's how I'm reading this because Miami, Georgia Tech, Virginia, Louisville, they're all kind of in the hunt still, as is Pittsburgh. But
do you want to know something? Is when you look at the offer sheet of players, go on 3 and look at the offer sheet, and you can see exactly what you're talking about. There's a group of offers, right, that end at about that point in the ACC. Then you don't get the other Power 4, but they group in with Nevada. I'm talking about Georgia Southern.
Sure.
That group of 5 things. So I could buy that. The ACC does not have a threatening team. Miami is trending downwards. Like they have not looked good the last 2 weeks. In Pittsburgh, nobody's seen them. I mean, not really.
So Georgia Tech, they're a 1-loss team, and that's interesting because Georgia Tech's got Boston College. They've got a ranked Pitt team.
Yep.
And then they've got Georgia. I don't think Haynes King, with all of his glory, is going to beat Georgia.
Was that last year or a couple years ago they beat them? When was that? They were close one time.
A couple years ago. So Georgia Tech is a 1-loss team with a win over Georgia at the end of the year.
Yeah,
that could be a big problem.
Yeah.
But again, if that's the case with Georgia Tech, they then have an ACC championship game. They probably get in as the automatic qualifier. I mean, if you lose the ACC champion, if you're Georgia Tech, you lose the ACC championship game after beating Georgia, you still have a pretty strong case as an at-large bid.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you lose both, you're probably not getting in, obviously, with 3 losses, I would assume.
So those are the teams behind you, I think, that can threaten you, and I put USC in that category. The teams in front of you that I think are going to get out of the way at some point are Texas and Oklahoma. And Texas is 10, Oklahoma's 11. Texas has 2 really, really tough games on the schedule. Texas is sitting here with Georgia on the road this week, and then Arkansas, and they finish at home against Texas A&M.
Oh, my gosh.
So Texas ain't winning. I think they're losing 2 of their final 3 is what I think. Now, if they win at either against A&M or at Georgia, now that really convolutes things because Georgia's not going to drop all the way out of the top 10, and Texas is going to those 2 teams will be ranked like 7 and 8 then, or 6 and 7 then, and that
would be something if they beat both those guys, man. If
Oklahoma,
Arch Manning goes and beats those guys,
that'd be wild. Oklahoma's got Alabama this week, Trevor.
Oh my good, and they're what, they ranked 3rd or 4th?
4th. Alabama's 4th, and that's in Tuscaloosa. So Oklahoma finishing out with Bama, Missouri, LSU doesn't feel like Oklahoma's going to be sitting above BYU and Utah when it's all said and done.
There's a lot of these like paramount games. You know, Texas against Georgia. That's going to be a great game. But I would say if Texas beats them, just to go back to that A&M Texas game is going to be unbelievable. But A&M's probably already going to be slated into the SEC championship game, I assume.
They are the lone undefeated SEC team
so wouldn't that
now.
be interesting if they sat some players? And now it got interesting because then Texas has an easier. I mean, not that they necessarily would, but I'm just saying if you're already slated, just like the old thing, why would you play in Week 17, right? If you're already got a bye or something.
Yeah.
I mean, so this whole thing, the whole landscape is interesting because so many dominoes have to fall, right? And this is why we love sports. You know, I'm a little more pessimistic because I think there's an East Coast bias still when it comes to college football.
There absolutely is. When I walked in, we got that big giant TV right as you walk in here. It was Doug Feinbaum's ugly mug on the television, on ESPN, on SportsCenter. And the question scrolling along the bottom of the screen was, does the SEC deserve 6 teams in the playoff? They're not asking that about the Big 12. They're not
it's almost
asking
like
that.
lobbying. They're lobbying
Correct.
through the television. That guy used to do local radio, maybe in Alabama. He's an SEC guy. It's how he's made his entire living. He's a brother of theirs. And to your point, it's propaganda. You know, you hear it on the West Coast, and they don't watch the games like 8 o'clock kickoff. Are they watching that game? No. I used to live out there. I was falling asleep, guys, playing for the Jets, watching the Utes play. You fall asleep at halftime or a quarter in.
We know that's all the case. So there's all these convoluted scenarios that could play out. It's fun to talk about them, but at the end of the day, what Utah's got to do is they've got to go out there and they've got to win the games in front of them.
Yes. Now,
this Baylor team is one of the most prolific passing offenses that Utah is going to face all year. They've been good against the pass, the Utes have. Is there any danger in Waco, Texas, in your mind?
Absolutely. Dave Aranda is the second, or his top shelf coach, right? Second to none. He is a defensive mastermind, right? And when he has his best friend's Andy Ludwig. They vacation together. Okay, Andy is a very detail-oriented human being. And this is a very serious coach, all right? So serious that he's had to loosen it up a little bit. And I say this again, Baylor's a basketball school that's finding its way in football. And Aranda, he's deadly, okay? He used to be at LSU. He's won a lot of games, and he's very familiar with Coach Whittingham through the years. And so it's going to be, I look at it that way. Aranda's he cut his teeth on the West Coast. And so this is like going home for him, I think, or homecoming to him I guess.
Baylor, 313 yards a game through the air. They are a very potent passing offense. Now, in the run game, they're 12th in the Big 12 Conference at 141 yards a game. Utah, of course, is the number 1 passing defense in the league right now.
Yep.
They give up almost exactly half as many yards per game as Baylor passes for per game. So if something's got to give there, you would imagine that this is one of the key matchups in the the contest.
I think there's going to be a lot of NFL scouts there, or maybe there won't be, but they'll be watching the game, right? You get this matchup at receiver and corner. It's lining up, right? A passing offense. Our corners and safeties have played tremendous. Sands, the BYU or whatever game 5 had just a horrific game. He's had a bounce back and played fantastic the last couple of weeks. Okay.
Yes.
And so we've really responded. I think that the coordination's been it's been fantastic as usual. You hate to say as usual, OC, because it's been so awesome, right? We should give them more flowers. They should be getting more flowers. They're doing such a great job. And so I know to wrap it up, I think Baylor is a team that can beat anybody. When you can throw for that much power and you got a great coach who's defensive minded, and you're on the road. I mean, that's a tough game.
Now I'll say this: the pass rush that Sorsby makes it really, really difficult to get to him because A, he can run, B, he makes decisions very, very quickly. Utah's pass rush still found ways to kind of harass him and cause him problems. Didn't get sacks and get big numbers there. You didn't get him down the same way you did against Colorado the week before. Now, one of the dangers for Baylor in a game like this one is if you're going to butter your bread passing the ball, you got to be back there, and you got to be – there's multiple dropbacks in this game. Their offensive line has done a decent job, but they have given up 16 sacks so far on the year, and Utah right now is the second-best pass rush in the Big 12 Conference. I think that is also a matchup where, John Henry Daly, I think, had half a sack last game.
Yeah.
He's still top 10 in the country. He's at 9.5 sacks on the year.
How much is he going to go for next year? Okay. What's he worth?
A lot.
I'm serious. What do you think? Over, under $1 million?
Over.
So, okay, that's about what our quarterback makes. How are you going to pay him?
Well, the idea is if you have a successful program, and we're talking about a conference championship contending program, right? The hope is that some of this comes out of the woodwork.
You know what, OC, I'm with you on that. I'm all in on that take because I agree with you on that. Like, that's our only hope. We have to believe that.
Success begets success in every aspect of life, right? It's kind of like this great oxymoron that any of you have probably experienced if you've been on the job market. If you've been out of a job, you cannot find a job to save your life.
Yeah.
Whatever field you are in, and you're like, you get fired or your company goes under, you're just like, oh my gosh, I need a job so bad. And it takes months for you to find the next thing. Then you get into a job where you're in the job for a couple of years, and suddenly somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'd like to hire you over here instead. You're like, no, I got a job. I don't need this job offer now. Where were you 2 years ago when I was on the bread line? It's kind of like that, right? When you get these wins, suddenly people want to be associated with those wins. Companies want to be like, you know what? Look, everyone's talking about Utah football. Everyone's talking about BYU football.
Let me ask you this, okay? You're a former player. You're a fan. You're an analyst, a critic.
Sure.
What if we source the money like the Packers? Why not? We should source money. We could crowdsource it, but we need to find alternative routes. I'm saying there's all types of options, but really what you're talking about is as a collective unit, right? We talked about businesses. There's other ways too. If we can get hot here, we can get rallies and we can get sweeps. We can get stuff going to get the fans involved. I think when I see that stadium full every Saturday for how many years now? Is it 20 years of sellouts?
Something like that. 55,000.
We got enough juice where if we took $10 a month from half the people, right, that's going to pay a lot of bills, guys. $2.5 million. That's a lot. $250,000. If you can do things we might have to be a little more communal here as we get down. These bills are due now, OC, and I'm dragging on here because the bills are due January. Okay,
you're absolutely
and
right.
The more times we win and these guys play well, you just said it. Their value, and we gotta have a hard time keeping these guys.
There's the flip side of the coin, right? The flip side of the coin is that success that begets more team success. The same is true for these individuals, right? We saw it with Zach Williams. The kid didn't do anything yet in a game. He was given a couple of flowers by a man who is notoriously hard to impress, Kyle Whittingham.
Yep.
And highly respected as a talent evaluator around college football. Kyle Whittingham goes out 5 times and says, hey, he's done some really nice things. We like what he's doing. And suddenly, whoever's job it is at USC, at UCLA, at Oregon, whoever's job that is to pay attention to who might be available, their ears perk up and they say, "Wait, Kyle Whittingham likes this cat?"
He's the Godfather, dude.
And look, that's the double-edged sword. But you have to believe that there's some level of buy-in on, especially John Henry Daly is a great example of this, right? You were this guy, right?
100%, dude.
You were this guy.
I wanted to go to BYU. He went there. They didn't want him. They said, "Get out now. We don't want you."
You were exactly this guy, right?
Put that chip on. Come on, man.
A guy who, as a player, was a lot better than people gave it credit for right at first glance. That's exactly what you were. That's exactly what John Henry Daly is. And you end up in a spot where you're playing for and coached by guys that know exactly what it takes to get you to be the best version of you and allow you an opportunity to play on Sundays.
That's right, man. You're right about that.
Like,
Don P's got his hands on me, and that was it. Changed my whole life, to your point.
There's a lot of guys around college football, a lot of coaches around college football who are good at developing. But if you're John Henry Daly, to be specific, and I don't want to put words into his mouth, but if you're John Henry Daly and somebody says, "Look, we want you to stay. You had a 12-sack year, all right? We want you to stay here. We want you to have a 15-sack year next year. And we want you to be a first-round draft pick."
Come on.
And he goes, "Well, yeah, USC wants the same thing from me." You say, "All right, understood. Find me the last time USC brought a guy like you and turned him into a guy like that. Found the last time."
You want to tell you a story? My dad and I go to a high school game against Spanish Fork. This is in 2014. Okay. They had a great young man there who was playing center on the basketball team. His name was Porter Gustin. I went there unofficially on my own terms to see this kid. I know that he was the hot thing in town. Season, the NFL was over. I was just ended my rookie year. And so I meet him in the parking lot. Okay. I introduce myself. Say, "I come from a long line of defensive ends at the University of Utah." And I said, "I know the SC looks good to you, right? Blah, blah, blah." The same thing you just said. Okay. And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, well, I definitely think about it." We walked to my dad, said, "He's gone." And so he said, "He sees stars, dude. He sees stars."
Yes.
So whether it's stars and fame, right, it's now fortune. And so now it's just money talks. When you go to SC, OC, they have better facilities. They have better history. They have better TV deals. They have better, everything's more connected. So it's not a hard sell. USC, Utah, it's not hard. That's why they usually beat us on guys over the years. Right now, it's even easier. Hey, here's an extra $1 million. Drive down the road. We're not talking about SC. Back to BYU, south. I'm pointing the wrong way. Go ahead on 15. We'll give you an extra $500,000. Who's not going? You don't have to move out of your house, dude. A-Rod will pick you up on the way home, okay? He lives in Salt Lake, okay? Gary Anderson comes 3 times a week from Logan. He'll grab you in the truck.
A-Rod does live right here in the heart of Salt Lake City.
So, guys, look, we have to get serious about this as a whole Utah family, right? We have this coming in January now. We got some bills due now.
Trevor, you're 100%
we got to fill
right.
it up.
I'm sure you saw the headline this week, and it kind of flies under the radar because football is actually being played. The Big Ten Conference is supposed to, this week, sign a deal where they give 10% of their everything, 10% of their rights, to private equity for $2.4 billion.
For in perpetuity?
No. For the
number of years.
For the extension of a grant of rights that adds 10 years to the grant of rights.
10 years, okay.
Okay. USC opposed, Michigan opposed. Everyone else in the conference said, "Yeah, give us the money," because it's $135 million that comes to every school.
Wow.
$135 million to do exactly what you're talking about, to write those checks. Now, because the Big Ten is the first one that's going to do this, I promise you every other conference in the country is going to do the same thing.
They have to.
We know behind
it's an
the
arms
scenes
race now for cash.
We know behind the scenes that Utah has been exploring private equity as a potential situation. I don't know if you can do it on an individual level. I don't know if you can do it on like Notre Dame could as an independent.
But the trick is this. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will never do a private equity deal for their sports, ever. I heard it from the AD's mouth. Okay? He said it to me on Monday when Spence Checketts was there at the conference we were at. Okay? Mark Harlan was one of the speakers there.
Sure.
As was Dave Checketts, as was he. Forgive me, I forgot his name. In any ways.
Brian Santiago.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Good-looking bald guy. From one bald guy to another good-looking dude. No homo. But anyways, I would like to see BYU model here, meaning we can keep it local. We can still get private. There's enough money, okay, where we can put an investment fund together. I did a thing for a cancer foundation when I was a rookie, the Sohn Foundation. Look that up. I didn't even know about them. I got drafted to the Jets. They found out my daughter had cancer, which, thanks you, nation, she had about 1 million prayers, and she's alive, so thank you. And they had a meeting once a year where they had an investor conference, and they donated the money to fund to beat childhood cancer. I've already seen this. They gave me the award for whatever, man. It was for my daughter, really. She was just a baby.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the meeting, right, was to raise the money, and they raised it, right? Then they had strategies. How are we going to invest it so we can battle this cancer? And we can do that here at Utah, right? The church is already doing it. They just, they're doing it their own way. I mean, in BYU. Here at Utah, we could do that. We have to get, we don't want to, because where Dave Checketts was correct. Private equity, and you know this, OC, it brings sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut up tradition, and they cut up red tape real quick to make money. Bain
That's
Capital.
all they care about.
Bain Capital. This is from guy from Bain Capital out of the horse's mouth. Dave Checketts. He says, not good for business, private equity, in my opinion. He's running 2 soccer teams. He used to run the Knicks and RSL Soccer.
Yes.
And so when I hear that, I say, well, if it's an arms race, then we have to have it, OC, right? Well, we need to get organized here locally and as a fan base, and we can do something that at least can mitigate us having to give up all that equity.
Well, to the point that you're making, right? If USC, who is opposed to the Big Ten's private equity deal, they finally they just get in line because they have to get in line if they want to be part of that party, which they do. They're like, all right, give me the $135 million, I guess. You have to. When you say you have to, like we've been saying, oh, you got to get better with money. Oh, you got to find different donors. We've been saying this for 5 years now. When the Big Ten schools get that influx of cash, it's not a philosophical you have to. It is an actual economic you have to, because of the thing that you're talking about.
You have to. It's an arms race, man.
Because if there's no kid, there's no parent, there's no coach, there's no anything that can overcome the weight of $1 million check for an 18 to 22-year-old.
Amen.
And by the way, I don't think it should, because you're not guaranteed an NFL career. You're not guaranteed
tomorrow.
Anything.
We're not guaranteed tomorrow, man.
That's correct.
And so that's the reality of what this business is now. It's no longer college football. It's minor league football. I just saw BYU get a commit from a G League player.
Yes.
Okay? This is minor league football, homie. No one can tell me otherwise.
We talked about that earlier.
No way.
BYU basketball is getting a G League center who's been in the G League.
Come on, man.
And he's going back.
So you're telling me you can go play in the practice squad for a year and come back? Yes. Yes, you can. That's coming next in the court, man. I know I'm not only making $600,000. I'm going back to LSU for 1.2.
Yeah. I mean, it's why Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback that you were just talking about, it's why he challenged in court to say, hey, I don't want my JUCO eligibility to count towards my college eligibility.
I got too many Benjamins on deck, dude. There's no way I can get
he's looking at me saying, like, I'm 5'10". I'm probably not going to get a ton of NFL opportunity here, and I'm making a couple $1 million to live in Nashville, Tennessee, which is one of the coolest towns on earth.
Dude, he's
killing
it.
Extend my – I mean, you're right. The money –
his mom's on TV every week. His whole family. Right? He's got a whole brand coming.
His mom,
he's a Mexican in Nashville, killing it. All right, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. His family's wonderful. The whole story. These stories are wonderful because it's evolving now. You're seeing people. What this should have been in the original thing was you rise people out of poverty. Who the heck wants to smash their skull against people at OC? Just like who the hell wants to fight people?
I enjoyed it.
This is the bottom of the society usually. No offense to anybody who's been in these. We've all done it, but. Sometimes rich people dabble in this stuff, but not on a macro level, okay? It's mostly blue-collar people's children doing this stuff. And so if you can find a way to rise entire families up, man, and you're paying for it with your life, okay? We're going to end up having guys play so hard now for this money, OC, right? They're going to play so hard, dude, that the careers are going to get shortened. And if they don't, we're going to see, we have to find a way to make it. But the injury, like the bodies... The game is getting as tough as it's ever been, I would say. It's just like when you've watched UFC 1 versus UFC. George St. Pierre was the guy for me. When I saw him, he could do all the stuff. And now they all can do all the stuff.
That's
dude.
right.
And that's how it's getting now, is you're seeing quarterback play that's just like, holy crap, dude. These guys are just coming into league. Like Mac Jones, he was just on the scrap heap, man. And hey, I just throw him in there, he'll win 6 or 7 games. So it's becoming that, and he's not a great athlete either, guys. That's why I'm saying that this is a guy who's not a great athlete, and he's tearing up the NFL. It's scaling everywhere because there's so much money in it. And if you've been to Europe or you've been to South America, Mexico, where you see soccer, what this has become, OC, is it looks like European soccer model. We're gonna get to transfer fees soon. That's what's coming.
The club level of all that stuff is a more realistic model for how college football will move.
Not forward. The NFL, definitely European soccer, is how I see it. Do you agree with that?
I do, because the money is going to come in. It's going to start to. It's already coming in on high school kids. It's going to start to come in on middle school kids, like it does in those European soccer clubs. You get identified on the playground somewhere when you're 9 years old. They put you in a club system, and you come up through the academy, and then someday you're playing for Manchester United.
It's unbelievable, man. All you got to do is look at Messi, okay? A little short midget there is killing everybody for the 30 years. They grabbed him when he was 11 or something. They grabbed him early. And I've been talking. I had a meeting with Alcorn State's AD, okay, this offseason, and Terrell Buckley at Mississippi Valley State. We're talking about setting up a farm system. Okay, where places like that need some cash, right? You know what $200,000 would do down there, OC? Unbelievable stuff, right? If you could get that a year, you could start farming kids, right? Now you can start bringing kids from the South, bringing from the East Coast, and you create networks and almost like a co-op. It's a farm, right? You're developing players. And
Sure.
Real Salt Lake, I think, is related to a Real in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
No, it's just a name.
Okay, well, I was wrong then.
Yeah, they just stole the name
So
because there was a lack of. There's a lack of
partnerships?
imagination in the early MLS days, and they were like, let's just copycat.
Are any of these teams partnered? Okay, I see the same words. And if not, the NBA and used to have NBA or the NFL, excuse me, at NFL Europe.
Yeah.
And they have things going on now but it's moving towards where if you're a college, you don't want kids to. And the reason why I say all that fluff, here's the reason why. Brass taxes, when you transfer, you don't want to lose credits, and that kills people. Okay, I saw a kid lose 2 years. He transferred from Jackson State. He lost 2 years of school.
Oh.
And so that whole thing has to get sorted out, right? We talk about the federal level. That's the thing about this thing is, OC, how are they going to handle academics now? Is this no longer an academic requirement that you even have to go to school?
Soon enough. I promise you that's going to happen. All right, we're way over time, so let's before I cut you loose, how does Baylor Utah play out? What's the final score? Does this end up being the dominant win that Utah needs it to be?
I think we win by. I've been wrong, a lot on the predictions. I'll just say this: I think we're going to win the game, and I think that we're going to run the ball for above our average. So I think it's going to be a status quo game for us, and the defense is going to play well. I'm always worried about special teams errors, big plays, trick plays. Those the game comes down to 5 or 6 plays a game. We got to win 2 or 3 of those, or not lose them at least. So I think we're going to be good. I think we should win.
Trevor Reilly, it's always great picking his brain every time we get an opportunity to do so. He is one of the most interesting people on planet Earth, and he joins us every week here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Thanks for coming in, dude.
I'm sorry we went over, man. It was good stuff.
No. I'm the one who's in charge of keeping it on clock. I could have taken a break. We could have come back, but we were just rolling.
All right, man. I feel like I'm back home talking to my family when I see you, dude. Fellow Irishman.
Trevor Reilly. Plenty left to get to. We got Between the Pipes with Adrian Denny coming in 15 minutes, our Mammoth Insider. Don't go anywhere. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.